Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at jmike1400.
That's right, and we're waiting a call from Dr. Terry Menke, who, of course, is the Ayatollah of rock and roll, and he's a Ward 2 council person. We'll try to see if Dr. Menke would like to announce his plans to run for re-election this hour or not. Of course, the 2 at-large seats are open. No, I shouldn't say they're open. Jeff Halder hasn't announced his plans, hasn't told us what his plans are as far as running for re-election. And Lydia, sure, I don't believe I've heard her plans either. So we'll just have to see. Maybe Menke isn't. Is Menke running this time around? Maybe he isn't. I don't know. I think we're going to find out here in a minute or two because, again, he will call in. He will call in. I'll put all my positive energy into Terry calling in today. So, yeah, he's supposed to call in at 2:10. And what do we have? Yes, it's 2:10 right now. If you'd like to join the program, it's always easy to do. It's 515-955-1400. 515-955-1400. I wasn't going to watch much of the All-Star game because I'm still irritated at Major League Baseball for becoming woke. And I really didn't watch much of it for that reason. I just, there they were in the Mile High City, putting a bunch of black people out of work. Real nice, real thoughtful. Anyway, joining the program, I'm going to get my headphones on or I'll never be able to hear him. Joining the program now is the Ayatollah of rock and roll, and that would be Terry Menke. How are you, Coach?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Mike? Long time no see.
Long time. Well, I got my eyes examined again, a month or two ago? I don't even remember when.
Yeah, we can't talk about that. That's a HIPAA violation.
That's a HIPAA violation?
Yeah, we can't talk about my patients.
Well, I'm not looking for any sort of deep discussion on the interior composition of my eyeballs.
Well, it could be an exciting discussion.
Probably not, though.
What's your history?
I think, but I burned, you know as well as anybody that I burned out all my good cells years ago. Brain cells, cells in my eyeballs. I mean, I've learned to live with it. I'm at peace. We are, of course, talking to you courtesy of Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters at 612 South 32nd Street here in Fort Dodge. You may contact them at 576-6481. Just before you called, I was wondering whether you were up for re-election this year. Are you?
Well, actually, all the ward councilmen are up this year, as well as Lydia's up this year. And I think that's it. Other than, that's it. Other than Mr. Holter, but I don't know what he's going to do yet.
Yeah, he hasn't announced. I don't think Lydia has. Has she announced that she's running for re-election or not?
I don't think she's announced, but I'm pretty sure she is. That comes right from the horse's mouth.
The horse's mouth?
That's an old expression.
That's pretty sexist, Terry.
No.
Are you referring to Councilwoman Schur as a horse?
No, I was.
I think I'm outraged. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. Yes, this is that.
That's good. A year and a half, I'm gone, and now
it's not big to me. Those things aren't big to me.
It's the woke culture.
It's not woke. It's totalitarian.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's that's really what it is. So we've had a lot of action over at the city council. First of all, we want to, at least I do, I want to express my delight at the fact that Matt Bemrick is running for re-election as mayor.
Yep, I kind of knew he was going to do that. Last time we had really talked about it at length, he was indicating that he was not going to, and then that was like 4 years ago after the last election.
Oh, he does that after each time he gets elected. He comes out and says, "I'm not going to do this."
Yeah, but like you said, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things that he's been involved in. And, he's been a great leader, and he's very knowledgeable and well connected in the community. So I think it's a good choice to keep him where he's at. I'm sure that he's not going to be unopposed. I heard rumors of at least one person that's taking papers out, but it's hard to say what's going to happen. That's August 9th. That's when it's open up if anybody else is going to step up. But I think Matt's done a great job, and I strongly support him.
Yeah, he's improved quite a bit over the years. I used to stump him fairly easily the first year he was on the air with me. I had Lutz on the first year or two, I can't remember. But in Matt, I could stump him a little bit from having talked with Lutz. But it didn't take him long. He was up to full speed, and he was telling me things that different bureaus or departments handle different things. I didn't even know some of those things existed, and Matt had it down pat. He's a quick study, there's no doubt.
But it takes a little while to really learn the formalities and the way things work. I mean, I remember when I first got on council, I wasn't even sure how to vote because nobody, they don't sit down and tell you. At the time, we had little things that we twisted that showed up on a lighted board to show how we voted. And nobody ever taught me how to run that little switch, and it wasn't hard. So, you go into these things, expecting to make a difference, and you realize pretty quickly that you have no idea what you're doing. So it takes, I would say months before you're actually comfortable with the function of the way government is, who's responsible for what, what you can say and what you can't say, especially if you're on the radio. They pull you aside for that and say, don't say it.
Especially on the radio?
Yeah, don't talk to Divine. I think that was some of the guiding principles that they told me right up the front.
Well, there's a couple of them that don't. What a loss. What a loss.
You got to admit, though, you have made a difference, though, because Matt did announce yesterday on your station instead of in the paper that he was rerunning. So.
Well, you know the story behind that, right?
Well, I knew years ago that didn't go that way.
No. He, Matt, when he first decided to run for mayor, announced like at 4:00 on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Now, somebody who was behind him was making sure the Messenger didn't get the story second. They were protecting the Fort Dodge Messenger because the Fort Dodge Messenger is always worried about getting scooped, and they should be because really they're, again, a 19th century information delivery device. And radio, of course, is more immediate. But somebody didn't want that. Somebody didn't want that in Bemrick's campaign committee. So I got on the air the next day or the next Monday and ripped Matt Bemrick a new one. I didn't know him at all at the time. And I carried on quite a while.
And you still are.
And I think about 9:01, I used to work on air in those days from 6 to 9. And when I finished, I think it was 9:01, maybe 9:02, my phone rang and it was Matt Bemrick.
Introduced himself?
Yes, he did. And
well, I read the Messenger every day, and I also read the Des Moines Register, and I did see a letter to the editor here not too long ago, somebody complaining about the Messenger's fireworks.
Not the Messengers, the Register's position.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the Register.
Paternalism, yes. Oh, we must be careful. Oh, this was such a bad decision to legalize fireworks. Well, just wimpy, smarmy stuff. God.
Yeah, I couldn't understand half the words you were using, though.
Well, that's because I started out with a reference to an old Pink Floyd song, and you were still listening to Ernest Tubb when Pink Floyd came out with that song. It was called "Comfortably Numb," by the way, and that's the way I describe the Democrats' approach to governing. They want everybody to be comfortably numb with huge dollops of paternalism, and it's exactly the way I see them.
Well, and again, I express my condolences to the Ed O'Leary family. Speaking of Democrats.
Yes.
And I enjoyed listening to him banter with you. Yeah, I think he put you in your place a time or two, and I always enjoyed that.
I didn't mind that from Ed.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Good man.
Ed came from a place that I came from, really, is that speaking directly and honestly and forthrightly is a virtue.
Yeah.
Of course, we are always counseled and scolded to watch our language now. Well, Ed didn't come up that way, and neither did I.
Yeah.
And I knew where he stood, and I, though I didn't agree, I certainly admired him, had a great amount of admiration for him for standing up and saying directly what he believed and why. And he actually had intellectual and moral reasons to believe certain things, not like these screamers in the street who were actually night clerks at Walmart, for God's sake. And then the next morning, they're social warriors. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know every time I stand up for what I know is right, between flattery and fear, they both kick me down to the ground. So they whip me into shape.
It's so great to have you on the air again to hear how you're regularly abused by somebody, me or flattery or fear. Somebody's picking on poor Terry.
Yeah, Dave's been picking on me, but his pig's coming, on Monday. So
is that Monday coming up?
Monday,
okay.
It's also state girls softball, so it will be up on 32nd and 10th Avenue North, and they are going to have to divert traffic around as they hoist that big conglomerate over there. I don't know.
I can't believe we're doing the pig thing yet, but Dave is so enthusiastic about it that his enthusiasm, of course, is contagious, and he takes me along for the ride every time.
Well, the fine arts people put a picture of it. That's the latest picture that I've seen, and there's some comments on there that it's different. Public art, as I've learned to over the years, is not exactly well received by everybody. It seems like it's about a 50-50. People love it or they hate it. You look at the parade sculpture, they're still talking about that on 8th Street. You look at the silo art, there's those people that love it and those people that don't understand.
I think the silo art is overwhelmingly thought of.
Yeah, I gave a talk about 3 weeks ago to a Studebaker club.
Studebaker?
Yeah, they came up to town and they were doing a tour, and they took the silo right before and came out to Memphis Park. And they were just, they were just amazed. They said the only thing that they had a problem with was leaning back far enough to see it. They thought there was some kind of a backrest there people could lean against so they could look back and see the whole thing. But,
sure.
The silo art, the Chronicle has been controversial, and I'm sure Floyd of Rosedale is going to be controversial too. But I'll tell you, it's very impressive, and so it was funded without any input from any community dollars. It was all donations, and it's going to be, I think, a great asset to town. I think a lot of people are going to stop and marvel at it. So.
Well, there was a big controversy some years ago about the river logo on the county building, the law enforcement building. Yeah. And some lady, and I've told this story before, I was at the meeting, she got up and asked the city council why we would spend $1 million on that logo. Well, we spent $80,000 on the, so somebody had been filling her ear with nonsense, which was pretty typical for that time period.
Yeah.
It's $10 billion that the government, that your government is wasting, taking your hard-earned tax dollars, all $12.30, and spending it on this mural. That utter crap.
And the other problem, of course, is that's a county building.
County building, yeah, that was the response. I think Matt Bemrick was the mayor then, and he did mention that this was a county project and not a city project. And I don't know what the problem was. Some people, not very many, again, this was during the same time, they put down by South Junior High School or whatever, Fair Oaks, whatever June Gabler named it several years ago. They had that
the parade sculpture.
The parade sculpture, yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God, we're wasting money. Oh, for God's sake! It was a private donation. Calm the hell down. You're lucky.
It was the Deardorff Foundation that paid for that.
Was that what it was?
Yep.
Well, that's sort of we hadn't been subjected to Donald Trump yet, I guess.
But I'm sure next week the comments are going to fly again. But again, Dave has been working on this for 8 years. When he first showed me the pictures, we were in the old council room. He took me back into the little planning room back there, and he showed me these pictures. And he said he'd been working on it and told me a little bit of the history. And I said, well, why don't we get it done? And he said, well, he kept giving me all these excuses. And so we were able to kick it a little bit harder than what we had in the past. But it's frustrating when you have a project that you believe in that, doesn't move forward. And I think he's going to be very, very happy on Monday to see the pig finally arrive in its perch.
Yeah, and he'll probably be right. I thought that would lead to some people from larger areas laugh at us, frankly, to have a statue of a pig on the end of town. But hey, this is who we are. This is what we do.
Yeah, and plus it's the exit route for RAGBRAI.
Yeah.
And so there are going to be 15,000 people that are going to ride by that, and I guarantee you half or more of them are going to stop and get a picture taken. So,
and I bet Greg Hoare and his pork producers will be out cooking pork producers pork burgers like crazy.
If they were smart, they'd be out there, but it's going to be awfully early in the morning. Those guys get up early and ride. But,
Well, yeah, they do, but they're going to come into town.
Yep.
Most of them will be in town by noon, and they have to have someplace to eat.
well, hopefully they'll be downtown celebrating. And speaking of that, volunteers are needed for RAGBRAI. So if you could put the word out, there is a link on the Facebook page. Email it out.
Where's it at? I mean, the Facebook
It's
page,
on
is
the
there a phone number?
RAGBRAI Fort Dodge. I can probably get you you can call my office because Shannon Krause is the head of volunteers here, and she's taking care of that. But there is a place you can actually go online and sign up. I can send you the link.
Yeah, please do. I mean,
Yep.
what do they need? I mean, I
Well,
have a
if
deck if they want to sleep on the deck or
Yes,
whatever.
well, they need housing. They need, they need people to sell concession tickets. They're doing beer tickets downtown. The whole downtown area will be subdivided into, 3 different bands will be playing, and they're going to be selling beer tickets instead of, taking money into the local bars. They're going to be taking tickets. So they need them. They need campground hosts to help people around down the campground.
Sure.
People need help. They need people to help the people that need help. So there's all kinds of things. Nikki Conrad, Evan has been very involved in that. Carrie Kuiper over at the CVB, she's really stepped up and headed that project. So we thank all those people. And again, this is a non-paid. There's no glory associated with this. 5 years ago, we had a real strong group that brought them in and did a great job. And then 5 years later, it seemed like it was a little bit of a struggle to get people enthused about it. But they're coming, so we've got to be ready for them. So if anybody,
Why would people not be enthused about this? It brings how much money to town in a 24-hour period?
Millions of dollars. Millions. It's just amazing.
And you meet all kinds of interesting people.
Oh yeah. No, I can remember the first one that came through town, Kevin Crimmins. We were in charge of the beer tent out at the fort.
You and Kev Dog?
Kevin Crimmins was in charge of the beer tent, the actual, financial and getting everything organized. And Kevin would pull up on us. He had an extended fork chopper, and he'd roll in looking like Kevin does, and he'd come in and basically clear the cash registers because we had a lot of money coming in. And Kevin would stick them all in his pocket, and it was just very unorganized, but it was a lot of fun. So,
well, I've known Kevin a long time, so have you. And,
yeah.
Not a dime that he put in his pocket didn't go back to the right people.
Kevin, he still is. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
I don't agree with Kevin on everything, but I think he's a fun guy to be around.
Well, he's a little liberal for my taste, but we agree on most things. Most things we disagree on. All right, where we do agree on, rather. No, Kev's a good guy. Came from a great family, as you know.
Yep.
When we used to do the Sertoma Stags before we realized we were all sexist and couldn't do stags anymore.
Thanks to the Des Moines Register.
Is that what it was?
Des Moines Register kind of got us, even though, Sertoma was the first group in town that allowed women in. Because we always had La Sertoma, and then they made that rule. I think it was an 85 Supreme Court ruling. Peg Trevino was actually our first female member, and actually June Gabler, I think, joined the Rotary Club, and that was after we had Peg in our club. Pete Beatty and I sponsored Peg to come to New Sertoma, and it was a little bit controversial. We actually lost a couple of members.
I remember, definitely.
Yep.
I thought I used to work with Mike Libby when Libby was in town, and we were both over at KKZ.
Didn't he graduate from some college?
Yeah, several. Harvard Divinity School, I think. But Mike was big into JCs.
Yeah.
And, of course, they had the JCS. But I think the pressure started with the JCs at the time. And Mike being president of the local JCs at the time, and we used to meet at the Lamplighter. That's how long ago that was.
A long time.
Long time ago. But Mike's whole thing was that we're going to lose the JCS. Well, of course, the authoritarians didn't care about that. They were about re-engineering and reshaping culture in their own wonderful image. That's why Joe Biden looks like Skeletor. that's the image that they wanted. But I remember those days. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are...
I remember a couple of guys in Sertoma too that they were apparently afraid that their wives would be concerned about their virtue.
Yep. Like we're a desirable group to begin with. Yeah.
And I knew a couple of guys. I thought, I don't think your wives have much to worry about.
But we had a lot of fun back in the days. I mean, we're still an active group, but like a lot of this last year has been terrible, not only for service groups, but also for any kind of government agency. I mean, it's a terrible way to run a government by Zoom meetings. It's a terrible way to run service clubs. We can't do our fundraisers. We can't do our activities. It was just a terrible year.
Terrible year. Oh, it was. I mean, especially, I had COVID, so I can't say much about 2020, but, it just sucked all the way around.
But, it's over. It's behind us. Hopefully we've got this under control. But, as you know, we're still using the masks in the office, and I'm, very supportive. I'll probably continue to wear my mask for some time. But, it was just a terrible year because, if we would have had to continue like we did last year in government, we had people working from home. We didn't see them. We didn't know, what they were doing all day. And to hold a meeting, it's hard to have discussion back and forth because you're talking over each other and you can't, you can't tell what the tone of the conversation is because the person is just, you're just looking at a moving face. And it was terrible. Terrible way to run a government.
Yeah, it was. We had one of our staffers here that hasn't been in this building for a year.
No.
He's been working from home for quite all that time.
Yeah. My daughter-in-law works for the government. She hasn't been in the office for a year and a half. They don't want her in the office.
Really?
So, yeah, she does background checks on personnel, and she can do it all from home, sitting at her kitchen desk. She's actually working in Maine, but she's based in Kansas.
Your daughter, you said?
Daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law.
Sean,
I didn't think you
Sean.
had any daughters.
No, it's Sean's wife.
Oh, okay.
The Army boy.
The Army guy.
Yep.
All
Army
right.
guy. Yeah.
Is he still down at Fort Riley?
Yep, he's still at Fort Riley. He just moved over. He's the first sergeant at battalion headquarters now, so he's doing good. He's got a couple more years before he can retire, and I don't know what he's going to do.
Well, he must be hooked into that sort of life. It takes a special kind of person to be a career man or woman in the Army. And
he just got back from Korea. He got over there in February of last year, just as COVID hit, and they locked him down for 7 months and wouldn't let any of them leave base. So that was it was a tough time for him. They had 2 suicides actually over there because a lot of these young kids were very frustrated with the way things were going. So it wasn't good.
All right, Terry Menke, City Councilman, is our guest, and we're going to take a break here for the news. Terry, call us back, will you?
I sure will.
Thank you very much. This is AM 1400, KVFT, the voice of Fort Dodge, and this is the Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters Studio. And Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters is at 612 South 32nd Street in Fort Dodge. You may contact Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters by calling 576-6481.
You don't have bad luck. The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 2:32. The news is coming up.
Leading members of Congress claim that America's military is under attack from the woke far left, and they say top generals are ignoring the threat. Now, Grant Stinchfield exposes the real dangers.